Good afternoon, and welcome to the United States Naval Academy's Alumni Hall and the 23rd Distinguished Graduate Award Medal Ceremony. I'm Midshipman First Class Rory Cox, Class Secretary for the Class of 2022. Today, we are recognizing 5 exceptional graduates of the Naval Academy who will receive the 2021 Distinguished Graduate Award Medal from the Naval Academy Alumni Association and Foundation. Please rise for the arrival of the official party, followed by the introduction of this year's Distinguished Graduate Award recipients. Please remain standing for the March On of the Colors and the playing of our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, the 63rd Superintendent of the United States Naval Academy, Vice Admiral Sean S. Buck, United States Navy, Class of 1983. Admiral Mark Ferguson, United States Navy retired, Class of 1978, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Naval Academy Alumni Association. Mr. Kevin W. Scherer, Class of 1970. General John R. Allen, United States Marine Corps retired, Class of 1976. Vice Admiral Derwood C. Curtis, United States Navy retired, Class of 1976. Ms. Janie L. Mines, Class of 1980. Lieutenant Bradley W. Snyder, United States Navy retired, Class of 2006. March on the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. march off the colors. Please be seated. Today we are honored to have with us 18 previous recipients of the Alumni Association's Distinguished Graduate Award or their widows. Please hold your applause until I announce the final name. With us today are Mrs. Ellen Foley, widow of Admiral Sylvester R. Foley, Jr., class of 1950. Rear Admiral Lawrence C. Chambers, class of 1952. Rear Admiral Robert H. Shoemaker, class of 1956. The Honorable Daniel L. Cooper, class of 1957. Mrs. Jennifer London, widow of Dr. J. Philip London, class of 1959. Admiral Henry G. Childs, Jr., class of 1960. Vice Admiral Edward M. Straw, class of 1961, and his wife, Chris. Admiral Joseph Paul Reason, class of 1965, and his wife, Diane. Admiral Steve Abbott, class of 1966, and his wife, Marjorie. General Carlton W. Fulford, class of 1966, and his wife, Marianne. The Honorable John Scott Redd, class of 1966, and his wife, Donna. Admiral Richard W. Mies, class of 1967. Admiral John R. Ryan, class of 1967, and his wife, Diane. Major General Charles F. Bolden, Jr., class of 1968, and his wife, Jackie. Admiral Michael G. Mullen, class of 1968. Mr. Daniel F. Ackerson, class of 1970, and his wife, Deborah. The Honorable Sean J. Stackley, class of 1979, and his wife, Terry. And finally, Captain Wendy B. Lawrence, class of 1981. Naval Academy Deputy Command Chaplain, Lieutenant Commander Jason Weatherwax.
As we begin this ceremony in celebration of the actions and deeds of these remarkable, distinguished graduates, we take a few moments to remember the award recipients we have lost since our last ceremony in September of 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite all who wish to join me in prayer to do so. Eternal Father, we thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us, and particularly for the blessing of those who guide us on our way, for the women and men of honor, courage, and character, who have given themselves in service of our nation and have sacrificed much for the cause of freedom and peace in our world. This afternoon and evening, we honor 5 alumni who embody the highest values and enduring virtues of the Naval Academy. They model the devotion and sense of duty to which we are all called. They have forged lives that inspire and enrich neighbor and nation alike. Bless them and grant them the satisfaction of knowing that they stand as examples for us all. And Lord, may we too live lives of service, inspiring, enriching to those who pass our way. May you be honored in all that we do. In your most holy name we pray. Amen.
This is the United States Naval Academy and the United States Naval Academy Alumni Association's 23rd Distinguished Graduate Award Medal Ceremony. Since the award's inception, and including this year, 100 graduates have received this honor. The Distinguished Graduate Award is presented to living graduates of the United States Naval Academy whose character and distinguished service draw wholesome comparisons to the Naval Academy's core values of honor, courage, and commitment. These graduates have provided a lifetime of service to our nation and our naval service, and have demonstrated unwavering support for the Naval Academy. This year, the Naval Academy Alumni Association has chosen to honor 5 individuals with the award. Please welcome the 63rd Superintendent of the United States Naval Academy, Vice Admiral Sean Buck.
Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to the 23rd Annual Naval Academy Distinguished Graduate Award Ceremony, held in person. Brigade of Midshipmen, former distinguished graduate awardees, alumni, family, friends, and most importantly, our 5 newest distinguished graduates, thank you for being here on this Friday afternoon on this very special occasion. The Distinguished Graduate Ceremony is an important event on our annual calendar for the Naval Academy community. It's an opportunity to inspire the next generation of officers, the Brigade of Midshipmen seated amongst us, through the actions and the accomplishments of those that have gone before them. This afternoon, we're here to recognize 5 alumni who have devoted a lifetime of service to their nation, made outstanding contributions to their field, and demonstrated incredible leadership within our Naval Academy community. Midshipmen, from the day you took your oath of office in T Court to the day you throw your caps in the air at commissioning, you will undergo a profound transformation. You're in it right now. Over your 4-year journey, you will train your bodies, your minds, and most importantly, your character to stand up to the trials you will face as naval officers and leaders. You may choose to spend 5 years or 40 in the naval service, but your service to our country and to others does not and should not end when you hang up your uniform. The mission statement you memorized during plebe summer encourages you to strive to assume the highest responsibilities of command, citizenship, and government. As our distinguished graduates have demonstrated, the virtues of honor, courage, and commitment forged here on the shores of the Severn extend far, far beyond the naval service. Whether you follow in the footsteps of our awardees and go on to become a titan of industry, a flag or general officer in the Navy or Marine Corps, a senior government official, or a world champion athlete, to name just a few of the many hats these individuals have worn in their careers, these traits and virtues will make you stand out amongst your peers as a Naval Academy graduate. Undoubtedly, some of you will one day be nominated by your classmates and named distinguished graduates. But whether or not you find yourself seated on stage in front of the brigade in Alumni Hall one day, each of your journeys here in Annapolis is designed to prepare you to serve our country and your communities honorably throughout your entire adult life. Our Distinguished Graduate Award Ceremony is special because it provides an opportunity to not only celebrate the distinguished careers and contributions of these 5 individuals, but this event also provides an opportunity for each of our awardees to provide some candid advice to you all, the Brigade of Midshipmen, whose shoes they once filled many years ago. Sorry about that, I called you all old, except for you, Brad. Mr. Scherer, General Allen, Vice Admiral Curtis, Ms. Mines, and Lieutenant Snyder, let me be the first today in our program to say thank you and congratulations. Thank you for a lifetime of service to our country and showing all of us what right looks like. We're honored to honor you all today. Thank you very much.
We are pleased to showcase the lives and achievements of each of our distinguished graduates with a biographical video prepared in their honor. Presenting the Distinguished Graduate Award Medal to each of our awardees is Midshipman First Class Lindsay Ellison, Brigade Commander. Accompanying her are Vice Admiral Buck and Admiral Ferguson. From the class of 1970, Mr. Kevin Scherer.
Hi, I'm Heather, Kevin's daughter, and I want to tell you about my dad. Here we are in New York City. Dad was born in Iowa in 1948 to Keith and Joan Scherer. Grandpa was a career naval aviator. Dad has 2 sisters, Jane and Beth, and they moved all over the country, including 3 high schools for Dad. My grandma, Dad's mother, Joan, was a particularly strong and independent woman. She was a real life enthusiast, and that rubbed off on Dad. Here's a picture of Grandma in her 20s. Kevin and his dad were as close as a father and son could be. This picture tells the story. Dad showed up in Annapolis in 1966, and after graduation in 1970 served on 2 attack submarines through the 1970s. The highlight of his time in the submarine force was his tour as commissioning engineer officer of the USS Memphis, SSN 691, an early Los Angeles-class submarine. Here's Dad on commissioning day at Newport News in 1977. My mom, Faye, met my dad during his youngster year, and they spent 25 years together. Here are some shots of them, me, and my brother Keith. Don't you think my brother Keith is a dead ringer of my dad as a plebe? Dad entered corporate life in 1979 and worked at 4 different companies, including GE and McKinsey, before becoming Amgen's president in 1992. Amgen was then, and remains today, the world's largest biotechnology company. Dad was president and COO for 8 years and chairman CEO for 12. Amgen grew dramatically during those years and was recognized by Forbes as Company of the Year, and recently joined the Dow Jones Industrial Average as one of America's most important companies. Amgen makes essential medicines to treat serious illness, and over the years, millions of patients have benefited. Dad admires how Amgen has done in the decades since his departure under his successor, Bob Bradway, here with Dad during the time of their transition. As you can see, Dad and his Amgen team remain close to this day. Carol is Dad's wife now and is the love of his life. She brought 3 wonderful girls, Jordan, Jocelyn, and Katie. Carol brought too many things to my dad's life to mention, but none was more important than her love of the Rocky Mountains, where they now spend half their time. Today, the family is large and arrayed up and down the West Coast from Portland, Oregon to San Diego, California. There are 9 grandchildren, ages 16 to 1 year old, and along the way our cousin Ben joined the squad, pictured here with my husband Dirk and Dad. Dad loves to ski, sail, and play golf, and he passed that love on to my son Tate. Here are some photos of Dad doing what he loves in some of his favorite places: Nantucket, San Francisco, and Vail, Colorado. Dad has continued to be active since Amgen, He had an 8-year tour as a professor at Harvard Business School. He loved it. Recently, he was founder of 110, an organization that is committed to hiring 1 million young Black men and women into family-sustaining jobs over the next 10 years. We've also formed the Scherer Foundation that supports dozens of Scherer scholars at leading universities. Dad also found time to write a Harvard-published book, The CEO Test, about how to do the CEO job. Today, he's engaged in coaching CEOs and senior executives at many large American corporations. I am incredibly proud of my dad because he's a life enthusiast and was willing to take risks to learn, grow, and contribute.
Good afternoon. It's good to be with you today. I'm profoundly touched to be given this recognition. To have my name added to the list of distinguished graduates is a high honor. Thank you. Usually these short comments would be leavened with some reminiscences about sort of hijinks around the yard and on the Severn, and in my case, there were plenty. In fact, if you knew the whole story, you'd actually be shocked that I'm standing here today. But given what's going on in the world today, I think we'll pass that for another time. But I do want to share with you how Annapolis and my time in the attack submarine force provided a foundation for life. I also want to briefly describe the lessons I learned out there on the trail over this past now half century. But first, I have many people to thank and recognize. As you undoubtedly already know, none of us travels alone. Time does not allow me to thank all the many, many people to whom I owe a debt of gratitude, but I do want to recognize 3 of them who are here today. Ron Bancroft, the class of 65 Brigade Commander, and the big brother nature did not provide me, hired me at McKinsey when I was far from qualified, and in fact, last night he couldn't remember why he hired me, and has provided wisdom and friendship ever since. Admiral Paul Reason, a distinguished graduate already recognized today and here today from the class also of 1965, was on Amgen's board of directors. And at a critical moment of extreme corporate crisis, when my very job was on the line, Paul said I was just the person to get us out of that crisis. I suspect Paul never knew how important that vote of confidence was for me. Finally, my wife, best friend, and love of my life, Carol, has told me the truth, especially when I needed to hear it, and always with a smile. She brings me joy beyond words. Many people who matter to me traveled, and some from far away, to be here today. My classmates and company mates, including my roommates, Chuck Adams, all the way from San Francisco, and Ernie Snowden. Leo Williams, who did the heavy lifting to advance my name for this honor. Dan Ackerson, my friend, and our company commander, also a distinguished graduate. I think we're the only 2 from the same company in the same class for this high honor. And my wonderful family. I was lucky and benefited greatly from the love, help, and friendship of this group. Thank you. So, 4 years on the Severn, 8 in the Navy. What did it mean, and what did those years provide? It gave me, as it will you, the answer to life's most important question. What did you do that mattered? It was hard and it was demanding. It took my best efforts and sometimes more. I was tested at sea under extreme pressure and found out I could deliver. The attack submarine force remains the most capable group of people I have ever been associated with. I found out what operational excellence looks like. I would often tell my graduate students, it's important to know what good looks like, and in the submarine force, I found out. Now, my learnings on the trail, 3 stand out, but I'm only going to focus on 1. The 3, first, listen carefully, the most important decision in your life is who becomes your life partner. That's a lecture for another day. Second, you can have a life plan, but don't expect things to turn out that way. You might think you're actually pitching in the game of life, but what you're really doing is playing shortstop. Third, and most important, and I suspect you'll hear this resonate today, character is destiny. Character is totally something of your own creation. It is your personal mosaic composed of all the decisions you make, the actions you take, and what you say. It's not constrained or determined by genetics. It's not forced on you by circumstance, but it defines you like no other element of your life. These choices can become habits, good and bad, which is why right now is the time to reflect, choose, and hold yourself accountable. None of us is perfect, and boy, that sure includes me. But we all can and should have to be the aspiration, to have the aspiration to be someone of the highest possible character. When you stumble, own it, fix it. Be self-aware and demanding of yourself. It's a lifelong quest. So, what are the elements of good character and how do you operationalize them? In fact, what does good look like? I think there are 4 characteristics: high integrity, humility, resilience, and courage. These words are so easy to say and so hard to put into practice over time and under all kinds of circumstance. Let's start with high integrity. It starts with tell the truth even when it does not flatter you. The truth is not a simple concept. It's the relevant facts and context, not just a few dabs of paint on the canvas that you try to sell as a Monet. Do the hard right thing, even when no one is looking. When you err, own it and commit to fixing the problem. Next, humility is the opposite of arrogance. It's not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It requires self-knowledge and judgment. Know what you do not know. Be curious. Get help when you need it. Listen and respect others. Listen for comprehension and not just for your chance to jump in and make your point. Authentic, deep, and expressed respect for others might be the greatest sign of humility. Third, resilience is necessary. Life knocks us down. You probably already know that. Setbacks happen. Sometimes they're big. Be intelligently resilient. Learn from those setbacks. Believe me, you're going to have a lot of opportunities. It's easy to bask in success, but more than that, your reaction to the challenges and setbacks that come to all of us will define you. Will you be full of excuses and bitter? Or will you press forward with renewed energy and wiser? Finally, courage. Here displayed in my fellow honorees in such great and diverse magnitude. Courage is the ability to take a risk, overcome your fear in all its possible forms, from the physical to the fear of failure, and have the will to demand your best in the moment and over time. Your courage is apparent to others. One nation's courage can inspire the world, as we see daily in the headlines. One man's courage can inspire a nation, as we saw in perhaps the greatest of all of our distinguished graduates, Senator John McCain. I've got one final thought. The core message of this place, as you probably know, is emblazoned on the battle flag enshrined in Memorial Hall. Don't give up the ship. For me, the subtext is, bring me leaders of character. The years here, if you're paying attention, will help you build the foundation of character. The rest is up to you. Be a leader and person of exemplary character. The world needs that from you now more than ever. Thank you.
From the class of 1976, General John Allen, United States Marine Corps, retired.
John Rutherford Allen was raised in a Navy family. Born at Fort Belvoir, Virginia in December 1953 to parents Lieutenant Commander Joseph and Elizabeth Allen, he grew up with his sister Frances and brother Joseph Jr. He chose to attend the Naval Academy out of deference to his father, who had been commissioned through the ranks during World War II. His father had enormous respect for the Naval Academy after witnessing graduates save his ship when it was torpedoed by a German U-boat in 1941. As a midshipman, John excelled in all respects. He held 3 command positions as 3rd Class Brigade Commander, 2nd Class Brigade Subcommander, and 1st Class 2nd Regimental Commander, and as president of the Military Parachute Club. In the Karate Club, he led his team to the National Collegiate Karate Championships, finishing 3rd overall in black belt free fighting. Among the class of 1976, he ranked 1st in aptitude for naval service. The Lucky Bag noted that John kept busy holding a number of positions at the Academy and would become one of the few good men in the Marine Corps. After graduation, John attended basic school where he graduated with honors. Then he served as a platoon and rifle company commander, among other assignments. At the Defense Intelligence College, he was the distinguished graduate of his class in the Master of Science of Strategic Intelligence program. John is also the first Marine Corps officer inducted as a term member of the Council on Foreign Relations, where he is now a permanent member. He returned to the Naval Academy in 1988 as an instructor, where he was honored with the William P. Clements Award as Military Instructor of the Year. As commander of the 2nd Battalion, 6th Marines in the mid-90s when war raged in Bosnia, he served as Rescue Force Commander for downed pilots and supported implementation of the Dayton Accords in Sarajevo. After commanding the basic school, he became the first Marine to serve as Commandant of Midshipmen at the Naval Academy, where he was present during the terrorist attacks on 9/11/2001 and the invasion of Iraq. In his first assignment as a general officer, he served as the Principal Director of Asian Pacific Affairs, where he was involved with policy initiatives across East Asia, participated in denuclearization talks of the Korean Peninsula, and was instrumental in South Asian tsunami rescue and relief efforts. As a general officer, he served in combat through all 4 stars, making him among the most combat-experienced general or flag officer of our time. In 2007, he led Marines and soldiers during the most violent year of Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was instrumental in spearheading tribal revolts against al-Qaeda, which led to the defeat of insurgent forces in the Al-Anbar region of Iraq. In the aftermath, as Deputy Commander of U.S. Central Command, he worked to contain Iran's terrorist activities. Starting in 2011, he commanded 150,000 U.S. and NATO forces in Afghanistan as the International Security Assistance Force Commander, which made him the first Marine ever to command an active theater of war. After retiring from the Marine Corps in 2013, John served as an advisor in the Middle East peace process alongside Secretary of State John Kerry. In 2014, he was selected by President Obama to be his special presidential envoy to the global coalition to counter the Islamic State. John was credited with creating the global coalition that stopped and eventually rolled back the onslaught of the Islamic State, for which he was decorated by both the Secretary of State and the Director of National Intelligence. After government service, John joined the Brookings Institution as a senior, then distinguished fellow. Then he was named as the 8th president of Brookings on October 2017, the first military leader to serve in that position. John received numerous awards for his military and federal service to our country, as well as international and private sector awards. As a co-inventor, he has been awarded 5 U.S. patents for systems that will aid in current and future combat operations. He currently resides in Mount Vernon, Virginia, with his wife, Catherine Glickert Allen. They have 2 daughters, Betty and Bobby, and 3 grandchildren, Teddy, Joey, and Katie. John says his family is his most meaningful accomplishment, while leading Marines and sailors in combat is the greatest privilege of his career. Beyond that, he is grateful for his command and peacekeeping opportunities, with his highest honor being his selection as Special Presidential Envoy. General John Rutherford Allen, an extraordinary leader serving our nation in combat and peace.
Well, it's an honor to be with you this afternoon. And if I didn't say another word after Mr. Scherer's advice to you, I think we would have accomplished all the training objectives of the day. And I am conscious of having been a midshipman, an inmate here for 4 years, that I and my fellow distinguished graduates may be one of the only things between you and liberty. So I'm very, very conscious of that. It would be difficult to overstate how honored I am to be part of this evening's events. Admirals and generals, distinguished civilians, family members, and of course the brigade. It is simply humbling to be part of this, and to be in the presence of such distinguished American leadership in our modern era. It's such an honor to be with the brigade again, and the leadership of this great institution. And I said it earlier today, many people and many organizations made this moment happen. But I think without the leadership of this superintendent, this couldn't have occurred tonight. This institution is a magnificent institution, and it's a national treasure. And to be on the stage with the 4 fellow distinguished graduates, one of whom is my classmate and dear friend Derwood Curtis, who has had a career that we should all emulate, is truly an honor of my life. And to that end, it's such a pleasure to have the opportunity to recognize my classmates from the great bicentennial class of 1976 who are with us here tonight. Let's not talk about who had the last plebe year, please. Class of 76 stood the watch during the Cold War and beyond. And I would say that that term, distinguished, could be applied to them as well. And it's such an honor to be with my classmates here this evening. I'm also joined tonight by dear friends who occupy a very special place in my heart and in my life, and I'm very grateful for their presence. And I'm honored that they could join my family for this evening. And my family, Kathy, my wife, my daughters, Betty and Bobby, as well as my brother and sister-in-law and nephew, Joe, Janice, and Trey Allen. Your presence completes the evening for me. Kathy is a third-generation Marine junior, so she had some idea what she was getting into in all of this. Betty and Bobby grew up in the Marine Corps, in a family where I was gone for long periods of time, including years of service in conflict. My family's been an inspiration to me, and you've been my strength over the years, and I love you very much. And now to the brigade. 20 years ago tonight, I was the commandant of midshipmen, and we were a nation that had been plunged into war. I was here on the day when we were attacked on 9/11, and as the commandant, I would be here on the day we invaded Iraq. Gates 1 and 8 were sandbagged and guarded by Marines, and armed patrol boats prowled the Severn River in the Chesapeake Bay. It was a time in our country of great uncertainty, and it was clear that we had entered the struggle of our generation and into the crucible of two major theater wars. The Brigade of Midshipmen would soon find themselves leading Marines and sailors. And for me, this moment for the Academy was a moment to turn its every energy towards preparing you, the brigade, for war and for the kind of combat leadership demanded of our most junior officers, whose perspective of war is the most vivid, the most demanding, the most violent, and the most deadly. As Commandant, I believed it was our duty to prepare for the inevitable reality of battle, to the points made by the previous graduate. That instant in which your life and the lives of all that you lead hang in the balance of the state of your character, your moment of truth. Now, at tomorrow's leadership panel, I'm going to have the opportunity to be more expansive about what I consider are qualities inherent in combat leadership. But tonight, as I was asked, I want to address this notion for you of the moment of truth. We use this term all the time, and we don't really appreciate the enormity of its meaning, for its origins are from war and is meant to reflect the truest measure of your character in the instant of crisis and at the truly clarifying point and impact of battle. Joshua Chamberlain, the commander of the 20th Maine, on the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg, on the left flank of the Union line, saved the Army and saved the nation that day at the Battle of Little Round Top. Many years later, he would gather his veterans around him for the dedication of the memorial, now gray from the passage of years. And he would say to them, quote, "It was the force of your characters you had formed in the silent, peaceful years by your mother's knee and by your father's side, which stood you in such stead in that day of trial." Charles Wilson, also known as Lord Moran, writing in his time of his own experiences on the Western Front in World War I in the classic book, Anatomy of Courage, assessed, quote, "A man of character in peace becomes a man of courage in war. He cannot be selfish in peace and yet unselfish in war. Character, as Aristotle taught, is a habit, the daily choice of right instead of wrong. It is a moral quality which grows to maturity in peace and is not suddenly developed on the outbreak of war." 20 years ago, as the commandant, led by Superintendent John Ryan, I knew you were to be thrust into the unending crises that would require much, perhaps demand everything from you. We talked then about the nature of war, and we talked then about human factors in combat. We talked about the silent messages all around you in the yard from American heroes, exemplars of leadership, who'd confronted their own character trials and whose words and deeds provided those vital moral compass headings for us all as America confronted such an uncertain era. Here in these messages, we found profound examples of courage and character and sacrifice. Here along the Severn, you are blessed each day to be immersed in this environment. And let me tell you, when your time comes, and it's going to come, mark my words, I offer you 4 points. Be courageous. Display your courage to inspire those around you. In the darkness of combat, your bravery will be a shining light. Be decisive. Make the decision and carry on with its execution. In crisis, many are immobilized by the moment. Be kind. What separates us as a great nation and as a great people from our enemies and our opponents around the world is our humanity and our compassion. Your instinct should be to protect and to preserve life, not to take it, though we may have to. And be selfless. Be prepared to sacrifice. Be prepared to give up everything if you're called to. So, while here tonight in Alumni Hall, your naval engagement or your battlefield seems far off both in time and in distance, it is waiting for you, I promise. We had never heard of Fallujah. We had never heard of Ramadi. We had never heard of Kandahar. But I promise you it's coming. And your preparation for that moment occurs here every single day in immeasurable, sometimes undetectable increments. Annapolis is the engine for your preparation, as it has been for great leaders across our history, as it was for the leaders on this stage and in our audience tonight. For the classroom, from the classroom to the playing field, from midshipman regulations to the honor concept, you're doing the small, seemingly inconsequential, sometimes maddeningly routine actions every day, and doing them right, doing the right over wrong, gearing you, preparing you for that supreme test. Again from Lord Moran, and I'll finish. Writing in his time, he would say, quote, "For war, despite that which we have heard to the contrary, has no power to transform. It merely exaggerates the good and the evil that are in us, till it is plain for all to read. It cannot change. It exposes. Man's fate in battle is worked out before war begins, for his acts in war are dictated not by courage, nor by fear, but by conscience, character, of which war is the final test." So, ladies and gentlemen of the brigade, the test of your character is coming, as it has for Naval Academy graduates who've gone before you and in whose paths you follow. And as we face this moment of grave uncertainty in the crisis of Ukraine, which is truly a global crisis, a source of great strength for America and the American people, and indeed for the world, must be the certainty of the strength of the character of its Annapolis graduates and of this brigade at this moment of truth. I know this brigade is up to the challenge. I know you will not let us down. Thank you.
From the class of 1976, Vice Admiral Derwood Curtis, United States Navy, retired.
Derwood D.C. Curtis was born in December 1953 in Sapporo, Japan, where his father was stationed. His parents were Florence and Army Sergeant Samuel Curtis. D.C. was raised on Chicago's South Side. He always had higher respect for the armed services through the influence of family members who also served. He worked hard and developed strong ethics and leadership early in life as captain of the safety patrol in 6th grade and as a Cub Scout. In high school, he commanded Chicago's largest JROTC unit with aspirations to attend West Point. During a football recruiting visit to the academy, he was extremely impressed by the great traditions, the opportunity to serve, the high-caliber group, and wanted to be part of something special. At the academy, DC played varsity football, where the team beat Army 3 years in a row. He was first-class plebe regiment commander, on the color guard, 2nd Regiment commander, vice president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, sang with the original gospel choir, and was awarded the Daughters of the American Revolution Award for leadership. As a minority, he felt he had to work twice as hard to succeed. The Lucky Bag praised his present and future excellence, boldly predicting the life of our hero seems to be even more promising as he searches for the goal of life. After graduation, DC wasted no time in fulfilling that promise, embarking on a remarkable 35-year surface Navy career that included 7 command tours, 4 of them as a flag officer. As the top student at the Surface Warfare Officers School, he received the Arleigh Burke Award. After his first sea assignment, he went back to the Naval Academy as the first company officer, which was selected to march in President Reagan's inauguration parade. 6 members of his company would later become flag officers. His leadership at sea earned his command's numerous unit commendations, battlees, and meritorious service awards. He was XO of the USS Scott, the first ship on station during Operation Desert Storm. As a captain, DC commanded the USS Wainwright during the Bosnia crisis, then commanded the frigate Beery, and he served as flag operations officer on the George Washington Battle Group staff. Next, he was Commodore of Destroyer Squadron 14, the Navy's largest. As Secretary of the Navy's Naval Aid, he led the staff evacuation on 9/11. DC assumed his first flag assignment as Commander of Naval Surface Group 2 and Deputy Commander of USS Southern Forces. Next, he served as Carrier Strike Group Commander in San Diego, where his team initiated the Navy's first blended training program, which combined live, virtual, and simulator training. Moving to Naples, Italy, he served as the Strategy Director at Naval Forces Europe and Africa, with a mission to increase safety, security, and cooperation in Russian and African nations. This set the groundwork for what would later become the U.S. African Command. He then commanded Naval Surface Forces Atlantic, including all ships, commands, and squadrons, where he improved warfighting, readiness, and professionalism. For his 4th and final command, he served as the Commander Naval Surface Forces, leading 68,000 personnel and 168 ships as the surface community leader. He reinstituted the Surface Warfare Indoctrination School, optimizing junior officer training. DC pioneered the use of simulators to meet training requirements, improved training fleet-wide through increased funding in Congress, and spearheaded the drive toward a more diverse fleet. Vice Admiral Curtis retired in 2011 after 35 years of distinguished service in uniform. As a civilian, DC became a small business consultant, where he helped veteran-owned small businesses transform into multi-million-dollar businesses. He has founded and supported both professional and charitable organizations by serving on boards to help underserved communities in San Diego and founding a program to assist youth in the Annapolis area. DC has remained connected to the Academy as a mentor and through memberships in the President's Circle, the Naval Academy Athletic Association, and the Navy Football Brotherhood. He served on the Board of Trustees for over 8 years and co-founded the Naval Academy Minority Association. He is married to Tawanda, and together they have 4 children who are all graduates of the U.S. Naval Academy, and 4 grandchildren who are the 4th generation of Curtises. Looking back, DC considers his marriage to Tawanda his most meaningful accomplishment. He is also proud of his accomplishments in command of U.S. Naval Surface Forces, as Director of Naval Forces Europe, being a mentor to many, and the nonprofits he built to give back to the community. Vice Admiral Derwood Curtis, a highly decorated leader, warrior, and humanitarian.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you. And wow, how do you follow John Allen? But and Janie Mines is next, so it's a great challenge here. But there by the grace of God go I, written by Jim Bradford in the 16th century. Maybe you're familiar with this quote, but many Navy people add an additional line. Only by the grace of God in 60 seconds go I. This presents because of numerous hazardous situations we face, you only have a short time to respond and a quick decision. But once you survive, you wonder, what happened? How did I get through it? Well, it was grace. And I'm an example of this grace, to be able to stand before you today from Chicago's South Side and Vocational High School. Never in my wildest dreams would I think a day like this would happen or even be possible. I'm truly thankful and humbled by this honor. It is grace. Welcome to all of you, and good to see you. Family, friends who I haven't seen in a while, and the great class of 76. Thank you for attending. And of course, the Brigade of Midshipmen. As I look around, I just look with awe to see the greatness of the brigade, and thank you that you're here. It's a privilege to receive this award, and it was totally unexpected. While growing up, I dreamed of being in the NFL Hall of Fame, going to Canton, Ohio. But I tell you, I'll take Alumni Hall in Annapolis any day. When my classmates called me about being nominated, I really thought it was a prank phone call. I said, yeah, right, yeah, okay. But again, I'm truly honored to be here. And of course, to share this stage. And with John Allen, we've been together. He wore the same haircut when we were here at the Naval Academy. I knew he was a Marine. In fact, I was in the Semper Fidelis Club when I was here. But then I saw the light at Surface Warfare. But thank you, Admiral Buck, Admiral Ferguson for hosting this event, Admiral Green and your leadership for the selection committee, Ms. McDowell, all the protocol personnel that helped put this great event together. I would also like to thank and recognize Byron Mershant, President and CEO of the Alumni Association, also from the South Side of Chicago, who spent 13 years building the academy, the leadership of this great institution. Unfortunately, he'll be leaving soon. He's also been a great supporter of the shared interest groups, which are near and dear to my heart. The Naval Academy Minority Association, the Run to Honor, USNA Women's Network, which helped bring thousands back to the Academy. Byron, thank you for all you've done. Can we give him a round of applause, please? It all started here. I credit my success to the lessons, fundamentals, and professionalisms and friendships of the United States Naval Academy. Being part of the brigade was life-changing. I'm a product of my classmates, these guys sitting over here in the great bicentennial class led by Kevin Stone. My selection represents them. We came in together, worked hard together, served together, made some history together, and some is still making history. In fact, you can probably see one of our classmates on CNN tonight. Just a short story. When I was selected as a flag officer, we had to go to flag officer indoctrination training. Yes, we do train the flag officers to make sure they do the right thing. We had a guest speaker. He came in, congratulated us, told us what a great honor it was, but he said, if something happened to all you guys, I have 30 guys who can step up immediately and replace you. So we kind of looked around at each other. Did he really tell us that? You know, what's going on? He really took the air out of the whole room. But my point is, there are many members of the class of 76 who are more than qualified to stand on the stage. So I'm very thankful, proud, and blessed to be here and be one of the first of the class to represent us. Classmates, thank you very much for this honor. Please give the class of 76 a round of applause. I truly appreciate all my friends and family who came a long way to support me. Unfortunately, my mother, who passed a few years ago, couldn't be here. She's probably looking down with pride, but saying, why doesn't Derwood have his uniform on? You know how mothers love that uniform. You couldn't go home, church, or anywhere without wearing a uniform. But I really appreciate what she did for me and to teach me a great work ethic. I'm very thankful my family is here. My wife, Tawanda, she won't raise her hand, but she's been my co-pilot, navigator, commander-in-chief for over 40 years, and she's my guardian angel. The best day of my life after graduation was when I married her in a courthouse in Norfolk, Virginia, 4 days after my second med deployment. Now, don't boo me, because we did have a large wedding a few months later. But none of my success would have happened without her. And she told me as lieutenant during my company officer tour here that you could go far in the Navy, even though I wanted to play pro football, but I did listen to her, thank goodness. She was the one who joined the Alumni Association and would read Shipmate every month and then tell me to get my own. She inspired me to become a mentor, give back to others, and it was a team effort because she always sacrificed for us. From the early days of young company officer's wife, when she would make cookies for the plebes, to assisting training spouses, taking care of their families, and she even assisted in the birth of one of the spouses' babies, Then she called the ship to the officer who was deployed and was able to reach him on the phone. And don't ask me how she did it, but she did. She also started the USNA Plebes Parent Listserv email chain years before the discovery of Facebook with over 3,000 members. When it was time for my youngest to be born into the world, I was on a ship in Norfolk. She got in the van, dropped the kids off, drove to the hospital, had my daughter, and drove home. A true service warrior. By the way, that daughter is in the back, and she became a service warfare officer. She did this all by taking care of the Curtis crew, and she always joked that our kids' military service was our contribution to national defense. So, Tawanda, I love you, thank you, I'm grateful for everything you've done. Please give her a round of applause. To the Curtis kids, and you have to stand up, please. Marcus, Nikki, Crystal, and Perry, thank you. I'm so proud of you, what you've done, your sacrifices, your many schools, your many moves. You're looking at 2, 3, 4 high schools that you had to attend and living overseas. But then you decided to attend this great institution, excel, and live by the principles which it is built, and I appreciate that. Your leadership's been great throughout the military, corporate world, nonprofits, Department of Justice, and just amazing, but thank you for all your sacrifices. To my grandkids, you saw them in the slide, the possible fourth generation. In the military, they couldn't be here, but you would know if they were here. But I'm very proud of them. That's Lucas, Liam, Travis, and Sydney. Their rooms in Bancroft Hall with their name on them. Midshipman, it's an honor to address you. This is incredible, this experience that you have on the stage, the life lessons that you'll get, and I know it's getting late in the day and there are 2 more speakers. But I'm a shining example that anything is possible. The odds of me attending the United States Naval Academy in the 70s were low to non-existent. My football coach in Chicago was a Notre Dame graduate and football player. He knew I liked the military, and he knew I was a leader. So he got in touch with the coaches, and they started recruiting me. Rick Frazano, who passed recently, was a Navy coach. He recruited me and a few other black players in his incoming class and gave us the opportunity to impact Navy football. We did achieve success on and off the field, and I guess it was too much because he left for the Detroit Lions in the next year. The great class of '76 graduated 34 black midshipmen, which was huge in those days, and went on to do amazing things. The Academy has come a long way since the 1970s. But many times it doesn't matter how you grow and where you're from, but what you do when you're planted, and the Academy allowed us to grow. Yes, I had many challenges. Like other midshipmen, I had a company mate during plebe summer who didn't talk to me. We were supposed to become a tight unit, being part of this great brigade of midshipmen I had heard about, but I was the only black midshipman in the company, and he was from Linesville, Alabama. I didn't know where that was, but that was a long way from Chicago. So he had a hard time. He was getting all the attention of the first class. Bad for him, good for us, because they were leaving us alone. But he always had problems with his uniforms, his rates, and his shoes. We didn't have Corfams in those days. So I went by one day to help him out, help him shine his shoes, help him square away. Well, he survived plebe summer. He became my roommate for the next 4 years, and we became best friends. He even started liking Motown. This is what USAN is all about: developing leaders, removing barriers, becoming teammates, and building lifelong relationships. During our first year, chapel was mandatory. Yes, we had to go to church, no sleeping in on Sundays. So you could either go on the yard or you could go out in town. So I joined the chapel color guard. I like marching anyway. I did colors every service. I think the old people like to see us march down, throw the flags in the back, post the colors. I must have sung Eternal Father hundreds of times. But I also learned a midshipman prayer, which I thought was pretty cool. We midshipmen have our own prayer. Wow. It still hangs over my desk today, by the way. But there was one line that always stood out, that I always remember. And if you take nothing away from today, from what this Curtis guy was talking about, please recall, let my uniform remind me daily of the traditions of the service of which I am a part. To me, that's why you're here, to develop into the leaders of tomorrow. While building on the professional traditions of our institution and service, you have to remind yourself daily on what you stand for, and remember those who came before you. Your legacy starts here, and you're building on that courage that you've been hearing a lot about today. When I was a company officer, I told my midshipmen to always do your best. I told them their performance as a midshipman does matter in shaping their career. It impacts your future lineal number for promotions, opportunities, career progression. The company finished first in academics, first in marching, first in professional knowledge, because they took it seriously. It's interesting, the superintendent and I had a conversation about this earlier. But out of that company, as you may have picked up, 6 first company members became flag officers, including the former superintendent, Ted Carter, and also General Byler, who's here today. 3 of the 6 made 3 stars, which is great. And they let their uniform remind them daily of the traditions of the service of which they were a part. I stand on the shoulders of many USNA grads who have come before me, like Wesley Brown, the first African-American graduate, but many others who helped me grow as an officer. I'm thankful to them and the hundreds of officers and enlisted who supported me. I want to mention a few, since all of them couldn't attend today. Admiral Mike Mullen, 68, DGA. He was Lieutenant Mullen when I met him, very sharp company officer. He always took a keen interest in the class of 76, and he said it changed his impact on diversity. He changed the diversity culture of the Navy and the entire armed forces. He showed me courage. Admiral Hank Giffen, USNA 71, showed absolute trust in his staff and taught me work-life balance. Admiral J. Paul Reason, DGA 65, the Navy's first African-American 4-star. I met him on Pier 22 when he commanded a nuclear cruiser. That was the first time in 06 African-American commanded a nuclear cruiser. I was totally impressed. He gave me a sense of pride. Admiral Don Pilling, 65, former CNO, a Trident scholar, Cambridge grad, who exhibited to me how to be an officer, a gentleman, and a professional. Admiral Harry Ulrich, USNA 72, a no-nonsense, get-the-job-done, who taught me bigger, better, faster, because you don't have long to make a difference. Admiral Gary Ruffhead, USNA class of 73, my brigade commander. He taught me professionalism. I was on his plebe color guard and marched behind his staff during the summer. During first-class cruise, he was my running mate as a missile officer. I stood watch with him in Carrier Destroyer Station. His professionalism helped convince me to become a surface warfare officer. Years later, we ended up working together at SecNav's office when he was on Capitol Hill. At 2nd Fleet, he had a strike group, and when he became CNO, he chose me to lead his surface forces. Yes, the people you meet here are important. They truly impact your future, and you do train your relief. You hear it all the time, but it does happen. Captain Rich Bates, 91, he was a JG on my 2nd command tour, which that Admiral Reason sent me to on short notice, but that's another story. When I met him, but due to a shipboard situation, I fleeted him up to operations officer and TAO. He proved to me the greatness of a young Academy grad. And finally, Doug Combs, a former Marine, a political genius who was the personal advisor to the Secretary of the Navy. He taught me many political, bureaucratic, and strategic lessons that I never forgot, and he also gave back to his community. These were warriors who let their uniform remind them daily of the traditions of the service of which they were a part. I know you're getting a lot of guidance today, great guidance. Please take it away and just remember the things that will help you be a better officer. But you have to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself physically, mentally, you can't perform and expect others to perform for you. I do believe in the saying that the difference between you and what you're going to be in 5 years are the books you read and the people you meet. So make sure to surround yourself with good people and read the right books. I'm almost finished. Sometimes I hear old guys talk to midshipmen and younger people and say, I would trade places with you in a heartbeat, but I won't say that. If I traded places with you, I would not have chased Soviet Union submarines around the Mediterranean and operated in South America with 13 other nations. I would not have sailed through the Panama Canal, the Suez Canal, the Straits of Hormuz, or the Strait of Magellan. I would not have visited the Egyptian pyramids, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Eiffel Tower, and Buckingham Palace. I would not have visited HMS Victory warship that we read about in a Naval Sea Power class, where Lord Nelson led his band of brothers, nor visited Churchill's war rooms or the Reichstag in Berlin. I would not have walked the streets of Jerusalem, touched the Dead Sea, climbed the mountain of Masada, or gotten the Jordan River. I would not have operated out of Pearl Harbor and stood on the deck of USS Arizona Memorial where World War II started, then walked the deck of the USS Missouri where the war ended. I would not have been on station in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, and the Red Sea. I would not have had the chance to serve, lead, and learn from some of America's finest sailors and Marines to make an impact on our Navy. I would not have married the love of my life and had 4 of the finest kids a parent could ask for. No, I wouldn't trade places with you. My journey's been great, but now the great adventure is yours. It's just the beginning. You attend one of the nation's finest institutions with some of the nation's best and brightest, with a great future in front of you. Take advantage of it and use your seeds of greatness. I just hope my selection inspires, motivates, and gives you confidence to use your academy training the best you can never count yourself out, and always give back. In closing, my high school coach once told me, to those who have much, much is expected. Just as he expected a lot from me, the USNA alumni, over 68,000 strong, expect much from you. Midshipmen of the United States Naval Academy, I salute you. I salute the sacrifice for being here. I salute the great things you will do in the future and at the Academy. I appreciate you wearing the cloth of our nation. Please remember to let your uniform remind you daily of the traditions of the service which you are a part, and I will be cheering for you from the sidelines. And finally, keep charging. May God bless you, and God bless the United States Naval Academy.
From the class of 1980, Ms. Janie Mines.
Janie L. Mines was born in 1958 in Aiken, South Carolina, to Mother Daisy and Father Reverend William Mines, a Baptist minister. At Aiken High School, she was a National Honor Society student, executive officer of the Navy Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, and was salutatorian for her graduating class in 1976. In August prior to her senior year, Congress authorized admittance of women to the U.S. military service academies. This was her calling to do what she had prepared to do her entire life. She was among the first 81 women to enter the Naval Academy that year, and the only black woman. At the Academy, Janie was a member of the fencing team, squad leader, midshipman drill officer, and summer regimental adjutant. With the class of 1980, she was the first black woman to graduate from the Naval Academy. After graduation, she entered the Supply Corps and was assigned to the Naval Training Center, Orlando. She then served in the Naval Annex at the Pentagon and aboard the USS Emory S. Land. She was among the first generation of women officers aboard ships. As a supply officer, she oversaw over 500 personnel, oversaw $93 million in budgets, and developed a command procurement system. In 1985, Janie left the Navy to join Procter & Gamble. As senior purchasing manager, she initiated the company's first strategic business alliance, which saved millions. She earned her MBA from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1988 and was awarded the prestigious Sloan Fellowship. From there, she continued serving in various corporate leadership positions, including Senior Vice President of Strategic Sourcing and Senior Vice President of Center-Led Procurement for Bank of America. Starting in 2002, Janie has served as an independent executive management consultant with Common Sense Business Services Incorporated. She has worked across 15 industries and negotiated agreements in excess of $10 billion. In 2008, she served as a senior advisor on the staff of the Secretary of the Navy. Janie was instrumental in implementing Lean Six Sigma quality control practices across the Department of the Navy. In addition, she managed DoD collaboration with multiple STEM programs and events. Currently Senior Vice President of Innovation and Inclusion at Academy Securities, she performs public speaking and publishing under a separate entrepreneurial company. She regularly speaks to global corporations and prominent universities regarding strengthening national unity through leadership, inclusion, and innovation. She also served as a member of the Defense Advisory Committee on Women in Services from 2016 to 2020. She has made numerous significant and distinguished contributions to our nation through her public service. Among them, she was the founder and director of the nonprofit Boys to Men Club, which has encouraged young men to get an education and prepare for the future. She has also served on boards of Academy Securities, a veteran-owned investment bank. For her service and inspiration, she has received many honors, including Olympic Torchbearer, Award of the Defense Medal for Exceptional Public Service, the United States Congressional Record Proclamation for Service, and the National Women of Color in Business Award, and other awards from local districts for her outstanding volunteer services. Janie is the author of No Coincidences, Reflections of the First Black Female Graduate of the United States Naval Academy, in which she provides inspiration through her experiences in breaking barriers. At the Naval Academy, Janie is a longtime mentor of midshipmen and junior officers. She regularly speaks at extracurricular clubs or special events such as Black History Month and the Summer Regiment Forstall Lecture Series. She is the Class of 1980 Vice President and a member of the Special and Ad Hoc Committees on Alumni Culture, Diversity, and Inclusion. Janie currently resides in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Her son William, a technical recruiter for Amazon, resides in nearby Charlotte. Janie's sister Gwendolyn, who also resides in Fort Mill, graduated with a class of 1981. Janie says that leaving a positive impact on the lives of those she has touched is her most meaningful accomplishment. This includes raising her son, who is a strong and principled young man. Janie L. Mines, a highly respected role model and leader in the service of our community and nation.
Who'da thunk? I am so honored to be here. But first, I'd like to give honor to God for all the wonderful things He's done for me in my life. And without Him, I would not be here. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to recognize all the wonderful individuals up on the stage, the superintendent of the Naval Academy, Byron Marchant, runs our Alumni Association, all the key people, the nominating committee that helped to make these selections. I am very grateful for your consideration and understanding and willingness to kind of step out of the box and do something different. As you looked at my background, it's very diverse. Almost as diverse as our brigade of midshipmen, but I'm very pleased to be here, very humble. Thank you very much. I'd also like to recognize some key people in my life. My son, William, is right there. My sister, the class of 80+1. And my family, the young people that I've mentored, some currently in the brigade, some out in the fleet, all the different people, and when I say different, that's important to me, that have had an impact on bringing me here today, helping me to be the person I am today, and to be able to contribute to the lives of others. So as I think about what this award means, I think about the class of 1980. I think about the Women's Shared Interest Group. I think about NAMA, I think about the brigade, and I think about all of us because it is our award. In 1976, I literally had to fight my way in the door, and now I'm a distinguished graduate. How do you do that? I want to spend just a few moments telling you that, and I'll just do a few moments because yesterday I was signing books in the mid-store, and I asked the mids, is there any key thing you want me to do in providing this message today? They said, be short. So I can take instruction. I had a plebe year. Boy, did I have a plebe year. So why is this important? Why is it everyone's award? Because we came in, my class, the class of 1980, and the women that were part of that class came in to an academy where women couldn't serve in combat, where there was a profound belief that we could not lead a predominantly white male Navy. And from moving from that point and learning to then lead across the fleet, our current brigade commander is a woman. For us to be able to evolve, not because we were a bad organization or being judgmental, It is because we fundamentally believe that based on certain characteristics, I would be a threat, and I was told that, a threat to national security and could not be allowed to graduate. And now I stand before you as a distinguished graduate. It takes an organization that is able to evolve, to learn, and to teach that to their midshipmen. I ask the midshipmen to look to your left and look to your right, because your life may be in that person's hand at some time. And if you can't grow and evolve and learn to support one another, learn to talk to one another, this is the extremely diverse brigade of midshipmen. You will be going out into a Navy that is equally diverse. You will need to lead people who look nothing like you, who come from very different backgrounds maybe than the one that you come from. And you will must be able to go up to them, learn about that person, learn their strengths, learn their weaknesses, because the best team is led by someone who knows their people, who takes the time to understand what they bring to the mission and where they may need some training and need some backup, and be able, as some of my illustrious mates up here have said, be able to mesh those strengths and weaknesses into a coherent, quality organization able to deliver against the mission. You will need to do that. You will need to do that based on the fact that you can have conversations with anyone, based on the fact that you're not concerned or timid about walking up and having that conversation, about getting to know them. You must do this. If you can imagine being the leader in a wardroom and you don't know how to, your Chang is a woman, your DCMO or supply officer is a minority, and you are not comfortable with having conversations with that individual, you cannot deliver the mission of your organization or of your ship. I am proud to say that I'm part of an organization that has evolved and continues to evolve to be able to do those things. Will we make mistakes? Yes, we all do. But we're a family. We'll come back together, we'll deal with our consequences, and we'll move forward together. We'll take care of each other. I call this one of the greatest sororities in the world. You are my brothers and sisters. You are brothers and sisters to each one, to one another. Walk that way, talk that way. Your honor, your integrity. One thing I could always say, no matter what happened or what type of conflict I may have run into at the Naval Academy, nobody lied to me about it. They were who they were. And I took that out in the fleet, out in corporate America, and I looked for us because I knew that I could depend on that person, that they would be honest, that they would do what they said they were going to do, that they would operate with integrity, that I could talk to them. You must be that type of person. You don't look past an honor infraction. You talk to one another about it. You instruct one another about it. You make each other strong. So when you have a ship here and they have a ship there, you know someone's got your back and will do the right thing no matter how difficult that may be. So that is, I think, one of the key messages beyond the fact that we move forward together that I have to offer to this class. I've talked to many of you about honor and your perception of it. And you kind of sometimes talked about it as though you thought it was not one of the most serious things that you have to deal with. If you look at all aspects of our values, honor, courage, commitment and commitment don't mean anything without honor. If you look at becoming mentally, morally, and physically a professional officer, the moral piece, you can be as mental and physical as you want. If I can't trust you, it doesn't make any difference. So people, please take that serious. When you look to your left and your right and you saw who the person was sitting beside you, hopefully you looked in yourself and said, I can be the person that this person can trust. I can be the person that can walk beside them under any situation. I can be the person who can make a mistake and come back forward from it and realize my family will forgive me and help me to move forward. So, Navy, I'm proud of you. I'm proud to be a great member of the class of 1980. I'm proud to have had leadership in my life that has been there for me and worked with me as I've gone through challenges. Admiral Pat Walsh, who stood as one of my mentors, my friends, and was the first person in my career to walk up to me and say, can I help you? What are you here for? What can I do to help you? Phil McConkie, great friend, Julius Caesar, many of you who are in positions of leadership. My illustrious stage mates up here have mentioned many of the ones whose shoulders we've already stood upon. But I would like to say thank you. Thank you for Naval Academy for giving me the opportunity to stand before you today. Thank you, Naval Academy, for allowing us to grow together, to walk together and move forward together into a future that will be driven by many of the people in this room. Thank you.
From the class of 2006, Lieutenant Bradley Snyder, United States Navy, retired.
Bradley Snyder was born in Reno, Nevada, February 1984, and grew up in St. Petersburg, Florida, with his sister and two brothers. His parents, Michael and Valerie Snyder, nurtured his determination, drive, and pursuit of swimming. Throughout his childhood, Brad excelled both scholastically and athletically. His grandmother and grandfather, both World War II veterans, were a major influence on him. Brad always knew he would join the Navy. After a visit to the Naval Academy prior to his junior year of high school, Brad was in love. He recalls that one of the happiest moments of his life was receiving his acceptance letter to the Academy in December 2001. As a talented swimmer, he earned 4 varsity letters, Patriot League honors, and was the varsity swim team captain during his first-class year. The lucky bag notes his swimming prowess and high spirits. After graduation, with the mounting war on terrorism, Brad pursued explosive ordnance disposal. He was a distinguished graduate of the Naval EOD School. During Operation Iraqi Freedom, he served as platoon commander for EOD Mobile Unit 6, where he led 34 combat operations with the Iraqi Army to remove life-threatening improvised explosive devices, IEDs, from the battlefields. Then, during Operation Enduring Freedom, Brad was platoon commander for EOD Mobile Unit 12, where he conducted over 20 combat missions over 6 months against Taliban forces. On September 7, 2011, while rendering aid to Afghanistan Special Forces, an explosion from a nearby IED inflicted critical injuries, including permanent blindness. Undeterred by his injuries, Brad returned to the pool as part of his rehabilitation. After a few months of training, he joined Team USA and swam during the 2012 London Paralympics, where he earned gold medals for 100 and 400-meter freestyle and a silver in the 50-meter freestyle. He received one of the golds exactly 1 year from the day he lost his vision. Brad medically retired from the Navy in 2013. He was awarded a Purple Heart and Bronze Star with a V for valor. Brad continued competitive swimming while earning numerous awards, medals, and recognitions from ESPN, Sports Illustrated, and other organizations. During the Rio Paralympics in 2016, Brad broke a 30-year world record and won gold in 50, 100, and 400 freestyle and a silver for 100-meter backstroke. After Rio, Brad switched to triathlon for a new challenge and won a gold in the Tokyo Games. He became the first U.S. man, Olympic or Paralympic, to win gold in a triathlon event. He currently owns 6 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and 1 world record. Beyond his leadership on the battlefield and Olympic pool, he is a powerful inspiration and teacher to both current and future generations of patriots. This is indicated through his nomination by fellow Naval Academy alumni as among the 50 most influential alumni in over 175 years. His inspiring words have also been immortalized in his autobiography, Fire in My Eyes. Bradley is an advocate for the disabled and military veterans. He supports the Veterans Affairs Warrior Games and has spoken as a keynote for various events, including the Navy Marine Corps Ball and Stevenson University Commencement Ceremony. To help cure global blindness, he has partnered with the University of California. He also partnered with E1 Timepieces, who developed a watch with his namesake that enables users to tell time through touch. In 2017, he was appointed to the Presidential Council for Fitness and Nutrition. He has served on the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee and was on its board of directors. He was also vice chairman of the Navy Special Operations Foundation. At the Naval Academy, he served as an adjunct professor in the Leadership and Ethics Department and served as Nick Vogt Chair. He is currently pursuing a PhD at Princeton University with the goal of returning to the Academy as the first ever civil-military relations professor. He currently resides in Princeton, New Jersey with his wife Sarah and daughter Rooney May. Brad savors the lessons that he has learned through his accomplishments. He is most proud of being recognized by his peers. Maintaining the respect of his class, institutions, and country has always mattered to him. When those groups express their pride for him, then he feels that he is on course. This includes being chosen as swim team captain during his first-class year and his selection as a distinguished graduate of the Naval Academy. Lieutenant Bradley W. Snyder, a role model of ethics and character, and a truly inspirational leader.
Step forward about 3 steps, and here's the podium.
Thank you, sir.
Microphone's right here.
Thank you very much. Found it. All right, so I know everyone's butt's a little tingly, and we've been here for a while, but this is a really big moment for me, so just hang with me for about 8 minutes. I always try to say, start from a place of gratitude, no matter what you're doing. Oh, dang it. So the video said, I live in Princeton with my daughter, Rooney May. That's actually a very new thing. She was born 14 days ago, so... So needless to say, I haven't slept a lot in the last 14 days, and this is a very emotional thing, so we're probably going to get choked up a couple times. But starting from a place of gratitude, I want to thank a few people. This is not an exhaustive list. I don't have notes, but I want to thank, first and foremost, my friends and family who have been with me every step of the way, from deciding I wanted to go to the Naval Academy in the first place. Actually, when I told my dad I wanted to go to the Naval Academy, he said, "You sure you don't want to go to art school?" And that was my dad's way of making sure I was committed to coming to this institution, and I love him for that. But I want to thank my friends and family for being with me every step of the way, from coming here, chugging through the 4 years, going on my career to places like Iraq and Afghanistan, but then especially when times turned tough and I came back and found myself in the hospital, you know, I really leaned on them to get myself going again, so I want to thank them. I want to thank my classmates. This was not something I took too lightly. I don't really feel like I should be up here, but the fact that my class put me forward for this, I told you it's the sleep debt. The fact that my class put me forward for this means the world to me. I've had the opportunity to have some awards from my combat service pinned on my uniform. I've had the opportunity to stand on the podium where I was given a gold medal, and I can tell you definitively, going fast in the pool or breaking a world record doesn't mean nearly as much as commanding the respect of my classmates in this institution. And this is by far my greatest honor. It's not my proudest accomplishment, though. That was my daughter. That was 2 weeks ago. So I want to thank my class of 2006, for believing in me and putting me forward. I'm really incredibly proud to represent you guys up here today. And then I want to thank my beautiful wife. This is really exciting for me because we married later. We married well after I was out of the military, after I had come to this place. This is really one of the first opportunities we get to come inside Alumni Hall together. So I'm really excited to share this part of my life with her. And I'm really excited about the fact that we get to go home to Rooney May here in a couple hours. So, okay, when I was thinking about what I would say today, I was thinking about, what's unique about what I bring to the table. And I told you already, I was kind of already thinking that I'm a little on the younger side. I don't fit the typical profile of my distinguished graduates. And so I was thinking, well, I wonder if I've actually made it. I don't know if I've made it. I don't know if I've made the cut. Then I thought to myself, well, what is making it anyway? And then I was actually asking some of them earlier, I wonder if my distinguished graduates feel like they've made it. Do you guys feel like you've made it? Like it's time to now just play golf and just enjoy the rest of life? I imagine I'm getting some shaking heads, right? Which one of you nodded? So what I was kind of thinking about is I'm going to give you guys the anti-inspirational speech, which is funny for me because the video said I was inspirational a bunch of times, but I'm going to say right to you today, the theme of my speech is to the brigade, none of you are ever going to make it, so stop trying. Now, obviously, that's not what I mean. Let me explain what I mean by that. You guys have all probably heard classmates of yours lay out their whole career right in front of you. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to be brigade commander, and then I'm going to go and be a SWO, and then I'm going to go to my ship, and I'm going to be a divo, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go get my master's, and then I'm going to go do this and that, the other thing. One of you said it, but you can have a life plan all day long. I guarantee you it's not going to go that way. And if you're laying everything out that way, and that's your primary focus, you're going to miss a lot of magical stuff along the way. My suggestion to you today is instead of thinking about your entire career all at once and focusing on the wickets along the way, getting from your plebe year to your youngster year to second class year, first class year to your service selection to your first command, so on and so forth, forget all that. Live in the moment. Be here now. Be in Alumni Hall and listen to the words of these wise men and women. Embrace that. Focus on that. And do that for the rest of your career. Make the most of every moment. Your career is not going to be a bunch of line items on a resume that they played a Pirates of the Caribbean music. It's going to be a bunch of amazing memories, incredible moments. For me, it was that letter that came to my front door in Florida that said, you've been invited to join the great class of 2006. There we go. Thank you, guys. That was your cue. I remember this moment where we all arranged ourselves in T court, and the superintendent, who's here, came out to us and welcomed us. And even though our detailers had said, sit there and put your hands on your knees and eyes in the boat, I was looking around. And I couldn't believe it. I was here. I was part of the Naval Academy. And the superintendent said, welcome, you're a part of class of 2006. I couldn't believe it. I remember when I came here as a high schooler, and what I was so astounded by is all the midshipmen were walking by in their uniform to class, and everybody's name was stitched on their shirt. I thought that was so cool. Everyone comes here and they always say, like, you shave your head and you lose your identity. But here, your name is so important that it's stitched on your shirt. I had a bunch of shirts at that point. None of them had my name on it. How amazing is it that you're a part of an institution where you matter? You matter so much that everyone needs to know your name. And here I was, sitting there in my white works with my name tag on, a part of the class of 2006. It was an incredible moment. But I would say that I kind of lost that as well. As I went through my career, I got really focused on, get through this exam, get through this term, get from plebe year to youngster year to second class year. I could never wait to get to the next wicket. This idea of making the most of every moment definitely came true for me, or hit me the hardest on September 7th, 2011, when I got blown up. And I laid there on the ground for what seemed like eternity to me. And I had been an EOD officer for some time at that point. I knew that I had been in a 40-pound blast, and I knew the likelihood that I had lived through the blast was low. And I thought I was dead. And in that moment, I thought through all the things that I had done up until that point, and I thought that I was proud of my life. I reconciled my death, and I accepted it, and I was okay with it. But then this magic thing happened where I came back. I came back to life. And now, in the 11 years since, it's been a series of moments that I might not have had. They're bonus levels, each year, each moment. And they're all special. They're precious. They're magical. So I hope for all of you, I hope you don't have to get blown up in Afghanistan to realize that this moment is special. And the one that comes after it is just as precious. You guys, and all of those moments came at the sacrifices of people who died so that we could be here in this country and have the liberties and freedoms that we have. Friends of mine, friends of yours have died so that we can have this moment. I think you owe it to them to make the most of this moment. Forget about your career. Forget about your lineal number. Forget about that joint tour in Sicily you have to do because it's really essential to your pipeline. Do your job. Do your job well. Do good work, and the rest will follow. There are 3 things that I want to extend off of this idea of making the most of each individual moment. For me, as an athlete, it's really critically important to put in the time, put in the reps, go down into my garage and get on the bike with my wife and work as hard as we can. And I'm always staring at my phone because it's reading out this number, the number of watts that I'm pushing out on the bike. And I have to push myself as hard as possible. I have to really focus on getting to the boundary of my capability and pushing just that much further, just a little bit harder. 1 more watt, 2 more watts, 3 more watts. I have to absolutely focus to do that, to expand my capability. What I would argue for you today is to get better at anything requires the same level of focus. If you want to really wrap your head around very complex math or international relations or political science, deep philosophy, you have to focus. You have to read hard stuff. You have to do those mental reps and push yourself to the boundary of your capability and then push yourself just a little bit further. It requires deep focus. A concern of mine is looking at the way that we all live our daily lives. We all have one of these in our pocket, and it's constantly dinging, telling us that people on TikTok liked our photo, and people on our email are looking for us to schedule another meeting, and so on and so forth. That stuff's important, but make sure you're carving out time for deep focus so that you can make the most of yourself, expand the boundary of your capability incrementally over time. The second extension off of the idea of making the most of every moment is investing yourself in people. If you get lost in the rat race and you're just working your way from one place to another and you try to rush to class so that you can get ready for your exam and you can read your book and you can go on and meet the wickets of your career, you miss all the people that you pass along the way. Make the most of those moments. You never know what interaction is going to make someone's day. Just saying hello, how are you? You call customer service to whine about your cell phone bill being overcharged or something along those lines. Ask that person their name. Make that something special, because all of us we get into this habit of transaction after transaction after transaction. All of you have the power and influence to take all those transactions and make them transformational. Invest yourself in people. That's the number 1 lesson in leadership as far as I'm concerned. If you're compassionate about people, you're invested in their well-being, they will know. And they will follow you. They will do whatever you are leading them to do because they know you care. If you can't prove that to them, there's no reason they'll ever follow you. There's no hope that you'll ever earn truly the respect of the people you're working with. You have to invest yourself in their well-being. That's the number one leadership lesson as far as I'm concerned. The third extension and the last one off of this idea of making the most of every moment. If you look at your life as a succession of moments, inevitably you're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. I certainly have. In fact, full disclosure, I'm not wearing cufflinks and this is a French cuffed shirt. I forgot. We make mistakes. One of the critical skills of anybody who's going to be a distinguished graduate or successful or fulfilled or happy in the long term, you have to learn to forgive yourself. Part of forgiving yourself, though, and I've heard every one of these folks say it, you have to own your mistakes. You have to own up to what you did. Look, I dropped that, I tried to lift that barbell and I didn't make it and I dropped it. I shouldn't have driven home and I did, and I have to pay the price for that. I have to own that mistake. I should have brought cufflinks and I didn't. You get the point. You have to own the mistake, otherwise it will haunt you forever. You can't hide from those mistakes. The second you own it, the second you stand up in front of your people and say, look, I made a mistake, here's where I went wrong, and here's how I'm going to fix it moving forward, that moment's gone. It's gone. You're on to the next moment. You're on to the next opportunity to make yourself better. Mistakes, failure is inevitable. The way you handle it is up to you. You have to make that choice to own up to your mistakes, do the hard thing, look your people in the eye and say, look, I messed up. I'm human, but I'm going to make the commitment to you to get better. Those are all the points that I have off this idea of making the most of every moment, but I will leave you with this idea that it is a choice. And it's a choice that you constantly have to make. It's not a set it and forget it. You're going to wake up every day, and that alarm clock's going to go off. And you have to make that choice. Do I hit that snooze button, or do I seize the day? My hope is that you're going to make that seize the day choice over and over and over again. My hope is that you're going to look for opportunities to make yourself incrementally better over time. My hope is that you're going to invest yourself in all the people you come across in your amazing journey in the United States Navy or the United States Marine Corps. My hope is that when you inevitably make a mistake, when you fail, you're going to own it. You're going to do the hard thing and to tell people, I made this mistake, I'm human, but I'm going to fix it. And I want you to know, when you make that choice, we're here for you. The United States Naval Academy Alumni Network is the strongest in the world. We're here for you. We are willing to go to bat for you. We have I'm the beneficiary of amazing mentors in this group. Admiral Morneau, Admiral Andros, Doc Thomas, Dr. Ledford have really helped me stay on the straight and narrow and put me on the right path. We're here for you. But I want you to know that we expect a lot. When I got the call about Distinguished Grad, I looked at my life and I looked at all that stuff that played in the video. To me, and I mean this with 100% honesty, I don't feel like anything I've ever done was exceptional. I feel like what I did on the battlefield, after my injury, in the Paralympics, I did what you all expect me to do. I did what I think if a guy or a gal found themselves in those situations, that's what I would expect you to do as well. So I want you to know, I expect a lot. Don't let me down. Thank you.
I'm on your right side, Brad.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Navy blue and gold. Sorry. Honored guests, this concludes the United States Naval Academy and United States Naval Academy Alumni Association's 23rd Distinguished Graduate Award Medal Ceremony. We ask that all guests wishing to meet with this year's Distinguished Graduate Award recipients please gather on the arena floor.